Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to the press conference of State Council Information Office. Today we have invited Vice Minister of Water Resources, Mr. Liu Weiping, to brief us on the progress of ensuring national water security, and also he will take our questions. And also we have Mr. Zhang Xiangwei from Ministry of Water Resources, Mr. Yu Qiyang from the Ministry of Water Resources, and Mr. Cheng Minzhong from the Water Resources Rural Development Department. First, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Liu Weiping. Ladies and gentlemen, friends from the media, good afternoon. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to express my gratitude for your support to the water conservancy projects. On March the 14th, 2024, General Secretary Xi Jinping has organized a meeting to focus on the national water security issue, and also he emphasized the water management philosophy, which prioritized the water conservation, balanced resource allocation, and systemic governance. And also his remarks has gave us basic guidelines for us to ensure the national water security. In the past decade, with the support and the guidance of General Secretary Xi, with the joint efforts of all sectors of the society, China's water security has made substantial progress. First, we have always put people's life and property safety as the top priority. And also, we successfully fight against the flood and drought. We have taken a number of measures to fight against the disasters caused by water, and also we establish the reservoir and manage the basin, and also we establish the flood control areas. For the storage center, it's over 1,200 cubic meters. And also we have set up a great amount of water banks, and we strengthen our efforts for the warning and the alert system. We are doing our best to conduct the water conservancy projects. And this year, we have successfully dealt with the water disasters that has been caused by the Yangtze River, Huaihe River, Yellow River, Haihe River, etc. In the past decade, for the flood, it has caused a huge amount of loss. 20 years ago, this percentage is 5.1%, and in the past decade, this loss percentage has reached only 0.24%. This will protect our people and also save a lot of cost and ensure the safety of the properties. Second, we continue to advance the construction of the national water network. And we have done our work to manage the water resources, and also we established a number of rigid constraint measures to do the water conservation, to make sure that the water can be saved in urban and the rural areas. Right now, the usage of the water resources has been turned from the extensive to economical. And also the water resources usage has been maintained at a steady level. And also the usage rate has been reduced by the 58% in the past few years. And also the irrigation amount of the water resources has been increased by 5%. Third, we will continue to beef up our efforts for the construction of the national water network, making sure that the usage of the water can match the social and economic development. Especially, we pay a lot of attention to the cross-regional water resources diversion, for example, to transfer the water resources from the south to the north, and we have established a framework for the water transfer route. And also the water supplied capability is over 900 billion cubic meters. We continue to improve the irrigation amount. And also we have increased the amount of the irrigation land and the cultivated land. And this will also lay the solid foundation and provide support for the grain output. We will continue to advance our water conservancy projects to boost the rural revitalization. And we are able to solve the water safety issues to over 70 million households. In the past few decades, water issue has been a critical issue in the rural area. Now we have successfully tackled this problem. Fourth, we will continue to restore the ecological environment for rivers and lakes. So right now you could see a complete different landscape of the rivers and the lakes. We continue to establish the river-lake chief mechanism, which has been laid out to 5 different levels. For these people, they will be accountable to manage the ecological environment for the rivers and the lakes. For example, for the Jinghang Canal, right now we are seeing a very good landscape of the river flow. And also you are seeing some of the ecology flow and the environment have been significantly improved. And also for the groundwater overdraft has been improved. And we will continue to reinforce our efforts for the groundwater overdraft. And more river and lakes has go alive. And now we are seeing more rivers having clean water. So for the localities and the governments, they have worked together to improve the level of the river ecology. And also we have taken a unified measure to monitor the water resources. For example, we also establish laws to protect the Yangtze River and the Yellow River, etc. More and more laws and regulations have come into play. And some of these measures have been deliberated by the Standing Committee of the NPC. So law enforcement has also worked together with the appellate system in order to better manage the water resources. And also we vigorously promote the construction of the digital twin water conservancy, for example, to improve the monitoring and the capacity to monitor the water conservancy issues. And also we issue financial bonds and securities, and also to help to boost the development of the digital twin water conservancy. In the past decade, the total amount of the investment for water conservancy has been increased to 1.19 trillion yuan. And also we are seeing by private sectors, they have invested over 340 billion yuan to build the water conservancy projects. In the new year, we will continue to fully exercise the philosophy proposed by General Secretary Xi Jinping on managing the water resources. And we will continue to improve our efforts to tackle the flood and the drought, and we will continue to improve the conservation and the intensive use of water resources, and also improve the law-based water management system, and also to advance the construction of national water network so as to make our contribution for the national rejuvenation. Now, together with my colleagues, we would like to take your questions. Thank you. Now the floor is open for questions. With the first finance paper, this year, we could see we have a big increase for the investment for the Water Conservancy. So my question is, what good practices can we use in terms of the investment in the Water Conservancy projects? So I would like to turn to Mr. Zhang Xiangwei to answer your question. Thank you for your question. In the past few years, we have accomplished a great number of water conservancy infrastructures. In order to build those infrastructures, we need a huge amount of investment and capital. On one hand, we need the support from the public financing. The Ministry of Water Resources work with the local regional water resources department and expand our ways to attract investment. First, we will establish a framework So first, we have to stay committed that we have to improve the water security at different levels of the society. Second, we need the government to work with different sectors of the society to improve the water security. Third, the government will work with the domestic capital to attract investment. Fourth, we will continue to manage the prices of the water resources and also to come up with a number of policies to support the use of the water resources and ensure the water security. With this working mechanism, we would like to be more proactive and attract the market entities to be engaged in the construction of the water conservancy projects so as to implement more infrastructural buildings. Second, we have to work with the special bond with the local government. And this year, in the government work report, we realized that the local bond that has been issued to over 3.9 trillion yuan. So for this amount of bond can be used for the investment in the water conservancy projects. And also we will work with the financial companies to release a number of documents. And right now we are seeing that for the loan rates, they will receive some benefits for the investment. So we have to work closely with the local government. That is the major way for us to attract the investment for the water conservancy projects. Third, we have to take innovative measures to attract the investment from the society. For example, we may have some equity cooperation with the government, and also we will build up an incentive mechanism to attract the market entities to make investments in the water conservancy facilities. For some of the companies, they may receive the company bond and to take different measures for the financing to establish pilot zones to make sure that some of the idle funds can come back to work. And just now, Mr. Liu has mentioned that right now, for the financial support, we have received a lot from the government, and right now we have initially established a framework to continue our investment. And in 2023, the investment in water conservancy projects is 1.19 trillion yuan. But actually, the actual usage is 1.2 trillion yuan, which is 2.5 times compared to 2022. And especially in the past year, we are seeing that more private sectors have made investments in the water conservancy projects. If we look at that figure, that is 7.4 times higher than that of 2022. So for the Ministry of Water Resources, we will continue to do the reform for the water network and also continue to improve our weak links in the water governance to make sure that we have a sustainable development of the water conservancy. Thank you. Next question, please. With CMG. So in the past, we have always understood that there is some constraints for the economic growth, for example, lack of resources. So my question is about the water conservation. What measures have been taken by the Ministry of Water Resources to deal with this issue? I would like to take your question. For the Ministry of Water Resources, have we strictly abide by the water management philosophy, which proposed by General Secretary Xi Jinping, prioritizing the water conservation, balanced resource allocation, and systemic governance? So we will continue to beef up our efforts on the water conservation. And we will do a good job in the water conservation in different areas, making sure that the usage of the water resources can be more effective. First, we will come up with more policies for the water conservation. So we will promote the enactment of some of the policies, laws on the water conservation. And also we will establish the industrial development plan for the intensive use of water resources. Especially, we will target certain districts and regions, and also we will provide more education on the water conservation. And we will establish the standards on the water conservation. And in response to the document issued by the CPC Central Committee. Second, we will ensure that we will have substantive progress made in the water conservation in specific areas. So right now we are seeing that for over 20 departments, they have established mechanisms, for example, to increase the efficiency of the usage of the water resources in rural areas. So for key sectors, we have continued our efforts for the water conservation. So for example, in 2023, the industry enterprises have made a good job in the conservation work of the water resources. And also for the non-regular water usage, is 210 cubic meters. So this level is 3.5 times larger than that of 10 years ago. And third, we will targeting over 1,700 counties for pilot zones for the water conservation demonstration sites. We will encourage these enterprises and the counties, and also their performance will be evaluated by the year end. We have to make sure that the water usage will be divided into different indexes, and also we have to make sure that for this intensive use of the water resources can be used by the quarter in some of the targeted areas. Fourth, right now we are seeing a good momentum for the water conservation and the intensive use of water resources. Now we have 714 contracts that constrains the water resources usage. So right now we have 23 provinces. They also come up with products in boosting the water conservation. And we will continue to improve the intensive use of water resources. In 2 years, we have organized conference featuring the water conservation. And also for the contractual value is over 20 billion yuan. Fifth, we continue to improve people's awareness for the water conservation. We will launch a protocol to guide the local citizens to save the water. And also we will do a lot of promotions to encourage our citizens to save the water. And also we will select a number of ambassadors to promote the education of the water conservation. And we will also do a lot of improvement work, making sure that people can form a good habit to value the water resources. Next question, please. So my question is about the protection of the soil and the river basin. So my question is, what measures have we done to protect the soil and the water resources? I would like to turn to Mr. Chen Mingzhong to answer your question. Thank you for your question. So for the Ministry of Water Resources, we have exercised the principle that has been proposed by General Secretary Xi Jinping. And we will take precautious measures to protect the rivers and the soil. Also, we have seen notable progress in this regard. This also laid a good foundation for building a beautiful China. So right now, the loss of the soil and the water has been largely declined. First, we work with different local authorities to benchmark our work, and we refer to the National Water Resources Network outlines, and also we have assigned different targets to different level of the government to form a comprehensive governance mechanism in different parts of China. For the 23 provinces, they also come up with the suggestion plans. For 27 provinces, they also established the liaison conference and mechanism, and making sure that for people in different parts of the society can take part in protecting the water resources and the soil. Second, we are taking the most strict measures to protect the water and soil. And also we are releasing the credit rating measures to protect the water resources and soil. So this is a whole chain monitoring processes. So we have analyzed cases related to the loss of the water and soil, and we have monitored the ecological environment for the rivers and the lakes. And we will continue to refer to the key projects in China and also the rural revitalization plan. For example, in the northeast, in the Black Earth areas, this is our target, and we will focus on the different basins and take systemic measures to mitigate the size for the loss of the water and the soil. And also we have improved the agricultural environment and also the ecological environment for the rivers and the lakes. And this will also contribute to the social and economic development in China. And at the same time, we have continued to improve our managerial mechanism. For example, we have improved our plan in protecting the water resources and soil. And also we optimize our measures to protect the reservoir, the rivers, lakes, and also establish the river ethics. And we are monitoring the ecological situation of the rivers and lakes. And also we are continue to monitor the situation for some of the water conservancy projects. And we will continue to pay close attention to this issue to make sure that we can mitigate the loss of the water resources and soil, making sure that we could ensure a harmonious relationship between the human and the nature. Next question, please. With Hongxin News. So my question is also about the ecological environment, as this has been closely related to people's livelihood. So what measures has been taken by the Ministry of Water Resources to restore or protect the ecological environment for rivers and lakes? Thank you for your question. As we all know that for the rivers and lakes, they are very important for the water resources protection in China. And also this is a key component part for us to establish the National Water Resources Network. That's why we pay extremely high attention to the ecological environment of rivers and the lakes. We have taken a number of innovative measures to improve the ecology of the rivers and the lakes. I would like to emphasize the following three areas. First, we will continue to improve our river-lake chief mechanism. So all of these mechanisms will be led by the CPC. So for all the 31 provinces and municipalities, for the key leaders, they will be accountable for the ecology of the river and the lake ecology. So right now we have over 50,000 people take post to protect the environment for the river and lakes. And also we have established the River Lake Chief Working Guideline. In 5 consecutive years, the chief mechanism has been included as one of the evaluation for the State Council. And over 37,000 people were held accountable for their work in protecting the river and lake. Second, we have taken innovative measures. For example, we have established the meeting and also work with the local government. For example, for all the key river regions and the basins, we have the chief to manage the water resources, for example, the upstreams and the downstreams, and also the river banks. So for some of the places, we not only have the chief to manage the water condition, but also we have the supervisors to monitor the water condition in those areas. For example, in Chongqing municipality, they also establish a special task force to manage the condition of those rivers and lakes. And in Fujian province, they also do the same to protect the rivers. And the third, we have to give full play to the chief mechanism. For example, we monitor some of the river lakes and the reservoirs, and also we have different governance on the groundwater overdraft, and we have also special tasks to clean the water resources for the rivers and the lakes. So over 240,000 cases have been handled, and the ultimate goal for us is to purify the water condition for the river and the lakes. So for the 7 major rivers, we have also launched guidelines and the protocols to protect the water condition in those rivers. And over 7,000 times of evaluation has been done for those rivers and the lakes. And for the central government, they also guide the localities to build and purify the different rivers and lakes in different regions. Thank you. Next question, please. With Economic Daily, so for the water conservancy is very important for the rural development. My question is, in safeguarding the food security and the agricultural development, what measures has been taken by the Ministry of Water Resources? So now I would like to turn the floor to Mr. Chen Mingzhong to answer your question. So in China, we are densely populated, and also we have scarcity in the water resources. That means that for the water conservancy projects, they have played a key role in boosting the rural development. So for the Ministry of the Water Resources, we have done a lot of work. For example, for the irrigation size has been increased by 1 billion mu, and which accounts for a great amount of the cultivated land in China. So 77% of the grain output will be supported by all of these water conservancy projects. In terms of the irrigation program, with the support of the 13th five-year plan and also the 14th five-year plan, we have to do a lot of the modernized reconstruction of the water conservancy projects. For example, we have established new irrigation sites to ensure the stable output of the crops and the grains. Especially in 2022, we are seeing the drought from the Yangtze River in 2023. In 4 provinces of the Northwest, they also suffered from drought. So for relevant local government, they also take targeted measures to ensure that for the mid to downstream of the Yangtze River, the autumn crops can be irrigated in time. And last year, the Ministry of the Water Resources also worked with other departments, and also we draft an outline on the development of the cultivated land. This will help us to further boost the development of the irrigation program in China. And also in terms of the improving the irrigation land, we are also trying our best to remove some of the rigid constraints. For example, we pay attention to the water conservation measures and also the intensive use of the water resources in specific districts. For example, we may set up a limit for the total amount of usage of the water resources. By 2022, the usage of the water resources has been declined by 9%. This will help to ease the tension of the scarcity of the water resources in China. In the past decade, there's no increase for the total amount of usage of water resources for irrigation. So we will continue to do the reform for the water conservation and the irrigation program. We also come up with a lot of the pilot areas to implement the water conservation program and the irrigation program. So for 49 counties, they have become the pilot irrigation site. For these places, they have saved the water resources during the irrigation. For example, in one county in Anhui province, it has established over 20 large-size reservoirs, and also they have established a great number of water transport and drainage channel. So right now you could see for the transport time has been shortened to half day. So this has increased the efficiency of the water diversion. And later we will continue to work with the Ministry of Water Resources, and we will build up more pilot sites to provide our support to ensure the grain output. Thank you. Next question, please. So right now you are seeing that we have uneven water distribution in China. So what are some of the measures or what are some of the signature programs that has been taken by the Ministry of Water Resources? I would like to turn to Mr. Zhang Xiangwei to answer your question. Thank you for your attention to the water network. The CPC, Central Committee, and State Council attach great importance in the construction of the national water network. We have closely followed the outline on construction of the National Water Resources Network. So in order to establish the national water network that is well-equipped, safe and reliable, highly efficient, green and intelligent, smoothly operated. So we have emphasized the importance for connectivity and improve the weak links, and this will help us to advance the construction of the national water network. So first, we have to implement the major projects to build the national water network and form a framework. So I think at this point, the most important thing is to focus on the main structure that is based on the 4 major rivers and also supported by the 3 water transfer routes. In 2024, we have also initiated the construction of the central water transfer route under the category of the South-North Water Transfer Program. And everything is under control. So that is our efforts in building the water transfer routes and accelerate the construction of the national water network. And also in 2023, we also done a lot of work in the water transport, drainage, and also the diversion. For example, we established the diversion and storage sites in 2 provinces. So both of these storage sites are located in Guangdong and the Guangxi province. And also we are starting our efforts for the phase 2 water diversion in the Huaihe River. So for all of these projects, they will serve the high quality social and economic development. For example, for the phase 2 projects in the Huaihe River, and this is highly anticipated by the local people. And this will solve the issue in the storage and the drainage issue in the Huaihe River. And this will also help over 55 million people to establish a major network of the water network. So this will connect the north and the south. And also I would like to emphasize the water program in the Pearl River Delta. And this will also serve the Greater Bay Area. And also this will provide the emergency water supply to Hong Kong. And we will continue to work on the key projects in the construction of the national water network. In 2022, we started our efforts in building some of the network in several cities, total 20 reservoirs. So for all of these conservation measures, this will also facilitate the development of the national water resources network. And this will also lay a solid foundation for us to ensure the grain output in China. And also at the same time, we will promote the water network at different levels. For example, at the provincial, county, and municipal level. So right now, we have also set up the pilot areas for the establishment of the water security system. And this will also help to boost the connectivity of the water network. And also according to the requirement of the new quality productive forces, we are also trying our best to build the digital twin water conservancy projects. For example, the water supply will be hugely increased. That said, right now, for the central line of the transfer route of the south-north water transfer, will help to provide irrigation to over 26,000 cubic meters. And in this year's government work report, it emphasized that we have to speed up our efforts in the construction of the national water network. And we will continue to follow this guidance and to promote high-quality water network construction and also optimize the water resource allocation and to make our own contribution to the social and economic development in China. Thank you. Next question, please. With China News Service. So the safety of the drinking water is very important for the rural areas. What progress have we made in the past few years? What work will be done in the following years? Thank you. I'd also like to turn to Mr. Chen Minzhong to answer your question. Thank you for your attention to this issue. The Ministry of Water Resources will work with the local government to implement the guidelines from the State Council and CPC Central Committee. So by the end of last year, the popularity of the drinking water in rural areas accounted for 90%, meaning that 90% of the rural population, they can get access to drinking water. So I would like to spell out the following. First, in order to provide safe drinking water to the rural areas, we will continue to consolidate the achievements made by the poverty alleviation. By the end of 2022, we have already resolved the drinking water issue for over 17.1 million households. And we will continue to consolidate the achievements from the poverty alleviation. Especially in 2022, we suffered from some natural disasters. We have to make sure that we can provide drinkable water to the rural residents. And in the past 10 decades, we also invested over 550 billion yuan to build the water conservancy projects. And also this could help over 500 million people to get access to the clean, drinkable water. And also we have established a great number of the water supply sites to provide the clean drinking water to the rural residents. And with the support of the financial investment, we also work with the local government to work on the drinking facilities in the rural areas. For example, we have invested over 300 billion yuan to build all of these infrastructures. So, for example, for the financial sector, they have invested a lot in building all of these facilities. And in order to ensure the safety of the drinkable water in the rural areas, and we also set a reasonable price for the water resources in the rural areas. And also at the same time, we monitor the water quality for all of these water resources. In order to ensure the safety of those people, this will also help to boost the rural revitalization. For the Ministry of the Water Resources will continue to work with the local government. And first, we will provide more guidance. So we will encourage different villages to make relevant plans for the drinkable water. Second, we will provide more standardizations, 3+1 mechanism. So, for example, we will transfer some of the water resources from the urban areas to the rural areas, and we will upgrade some of the drinking water facilities in the rural areas. So, making sure that we can monitor the quality of the water resources in the rural areas. And also, we will have a unified management of the water for the rural areas. And also, we will organize special task force to protect the ecological environment for the water conservancy programs, making sure that for all the water resources are safe. And we have to stick to the bottom line mentality. and also to establish a contingency program to provide support to the rural villages, making sure that we can tackle all of those issues immediately. And we will continue to increase the popularity of the drinkable water in the rural areas to make sure that more and more rural villages can get access to the clean drinking water. With Xinhua News Agency, for the northern part of China, they have a scarcity of the water resources. Can you tell us more about the measures taken on handling the groundwater overdraft issue? I'd like to turn to Yu Qiyang to answer your question. So for the groundwater overdraft, it's very important for us to ensure the national water security. Especially, we do see we have less water in the northern part in China, and also this issue has struck public attention. Start from 2021, we have initiated the water transfer routes, so we work with Beijing, Tianjin, and Hebei province. And we also implemented a number of governance to handle the groundwater overdraft issue. Start from 2019, Ministry of Water Resources work with Finance Department and also the NDRC. We also publish the governance guideline on the groundwater overdraft. So we take 3 years as a time frame to monitor this issue. For example, we will closely monitor the water condition for the groundwater. And of course, we will also pay a lot of attention to the water conservation. So the groundwater overdraft is also one of the key issues, but also we have to pay attention to the conservation of the water resources. So first, we have to implement the water conservation policy in China that cover different sectors. Especially, we have to make sure that the agriculture sector can save water resources. So by saving the water, this will also can improve the efficiency in the irrigation in the rural areas. This will also help us to better tackle the groundwater overdraft. Since 2019, so the newly added areas for the irrigation side has been increased and also save a huge amount of the water resources. And this is also a big contribution for the water conservation. And also we have made good use of the intensive use of the water resources, especially we have to utilize the water coming from the 4 major rivers, such as the Yangtze River and the Yellow River. In the northern districts, we have to make sure that we can divert water into those 4 major rivers. And also, we would like to use the surface groundwater to replace the groundwater overdraft, which could be used for the irrigation. So we have to make sure that for the groundwater can be replaced, so there's no overdraft of the groundwater. And this also have played a good effect in the conservation of the water. And third, we will continue to manage the sources of the groundwater. For example, we have initiated a task force to make sure that for people who want to collect the groundwater, they have to gain a special approval from the government. If they are not able to provide the certificate, these people will be held accountable. So right now we have strengthened our monitoring and scrutiny of the collecting of the groundwater. And also we have improved the alert and the contingency system for the groundwater system. For example, if the level of the groundwater has changed, there will be alarm sent to the water network. So with our joint efforts right now, we are seeing that the groundwater overdraft issue has been improved. In 2018, we have diverted a great amount of the water, and some of them are coming back to the groundwater, and also this will also help to improve the quality of the rivers and the lakes in the northern part of China. And for all of those rivers, for example, for the Yongding River, we could ensure that for the water flow can be sustained throughout the year. And also the Jinghang Grain Canal can also sustain the water flow throughout the year. So the length of the river has been increased 2 times compared to the 2018. So now you could see with our efforts of the diversion and the transport, you are seeing that now we have more and more water coming back to the ground, and we can ease the tension of the overdraft issued. If we look at the figure in 2023, in Beijing, Tianjin, and Hebei region, and we are seeing that for the groundwater surface level increased by 2.59 meters. So in general, for most of the rivers in the northern areas, we are seeing that we have clean water on the major rivers, and also we have sufficient groundwater. And we will continue to strengthen our governance on the groundwater overdraft, and also we will establish a long-term mechanism to make sure that we can protect the ecology. One last question, please. With Hong Kong Bohemia's paper. So with special the characteristics in China, we are seeing we have a lot of the flood and drought disaster happened. So what measures has been taken by the Ministry of Water Resources to tackle those questions and issues? Thank you for your question. So in China, in order to ensure the water security, I would say one of the key tasks for us is to fight against the flood and the drought disaster. General Secretary Xi Jinping has emphasized that this issue has existed since ancient times. Especially, we are lacking water resources in the north, and we have more water resources in the south. And also, we are suffering drought and the flood in different seasons. Because of these factors, this defines that there's many flood and drought disasters happening in China. Especially in recent years, we have a lot of adverse weather conditions. We have many flood and drought disasters. And this will also pose a lot of challenges for the prevention work. For the Ministry of Water Resources, have implemented and abide by the guidelines proposed by General Secretary Xi Jinping. So first, we have to adapt to the situation, that is frequent flood and drought disasters. So we have to improve the 3 major systems for the flood and drought disaster prevention. So we have to take a forward-side seeing to prevent the flood and the drought disaster. And also we need to have a contingency program to fight against the flood and the drought disaster, making sure that we can protect our people and their property. As I said, the three major systems. The first one is to establish a system to fight against the basin flood. So we have to learn the characteristics for the basins and also to build the flood control infrastructure to make sure that we have sufficient reservoir and also the diversion channels to divert the flood into other areas. Right now, we have established a great number of reservoirs and also the water banks to fight against the flood. For the major rivers, they have the capability to deal with large scale of flood. Second, we have to improve the forecasting system for the rainfall. For example, we have to improve the construction of the meteorological forecasting mechanism to better analyze the situation of the rainfall and to understand the forecast figures to manage the flood risks. And also we will establish models to understand the rainfall. And this will also help us to improve the accuracy of the flood forecast and also the rainfall forecast. So right now in the south and the north for the major rivers, the forecast accuracy rate has been increased by 90% and 70% respectively. And also in certain regions which may suffer landslides, we also establish the warning system. Third, we will establish a working mechanism to fight against the flood and drought disasters. We have to make sure that no people injured during the disasters and no key water conservancy projects and the infrastructure being damaged during the disasters. So we have to get a better understanding of the flood and drought situation. We have to improve our forecasting system and also to do more for the contingency program. And we have to shoulder responsibilities to fight against the flood and the drought. And we have to screen out the challenges and the risks and to come up with contingency plans when necessary. And also we have to make sure that we establish sufficient water transport, drainage, and the diversion channels. And also to make sure that we can avoid the damages caused by the landslides. And also we will give more forecast for the drought and the flood, try our best to mitigate the loss that has been brought by the flood and the drought disaster. Based on these three major systems, the capability of our prevention has been improved. For example, in 2020, we have successfully fight against the flood coming from the Yangtze River. And in 2022 And also, we are able to handle the flood from the Yellow River, and also the largest scales of flood coming from the Pearl River, especially in 2023. General Secretary Xi Jinping has personally directed and guided for the national water network. We are able to handle the flood that has been initiated from the Haihe River, which also reached a record height. And this achievement has also been recorded in the government work report this year. In fighting against drought, from 2021 to 2022, for the Pearl River, in 3 seasons, we have suffered from drought and we successfully handled it. And in 2022, we also, in summer and autumn, we also suffer from the drought in the riverbank of the Yangtze River. In the past decade, from 2014 to 2023, the loss of the caused by the flood and the drought disaster accounted for a less percentage to the GDP. So right now, this loss has only accounted 0.24% of the total GDP. And also the grain loss caused by the drought has been reduced by 51.6%. So I would say for the flood and drought disaster prevention, we have made notable progress. Thank you. So that's the end of today's press conference. Thank you for the speakers. See you next time.